Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you a story. It's Christmas time. I'll tell you a Christmas story. The Department of Finance has just announced layoffs. We had 2 layoffs in the Department of Finance, so I guess we were very lucky because other unions had lots more. Both of ours were provisionals, so I guess we were lucky because other unions had civil servants who were permanent being laid off in the Department of Finance. Now, the Department of Finance is a revenue-producing agency. And as we all know, the problem is supposed to be money. But the mayor gave orders to the Department of Finance, along with all other agencies, to cut back because, well, you see, he's a really good manager, and he knows they can do it with less. So on that basis, I have a member who spent 21 years serving finance and who is being laid off at the age of 58, 3.5 years before she can get her pension. Now, that's not important to the mayor because we know he's a really great manager, so that's not important to him. Do you remember a guy named Ebenezer Scrooge around Christmas time? So a lot of these weren't important to him either. That's not important to this guy, but that's okay because he's got plans for the future. The same week he's laying off my member with her 21 years of faithful service. He also is hiring a chief of human capital. Now I know you used to think you were human beings, then you became human resources, and now he's moving a little bit further, now you're human capital. And he hired a person to be the head of the Office of Human Capital. This is just wonderful. He had 170,000 civil servants who were civilians to recruit them up. Then there was the police, the fire, sanitation, corrections office, the entire gigantic staff of the Department of Education. All of these people, could he have gone and said, "You're on release time, I need you for the head of human capital"? No, he couldn't find anybody upon that 1/3 of a million people. None of them were good enough. He had to hire a guy from Texas for $145,000 or $185,000, I'm not quite sure. But now he hired this guy because this guy is going to, listen to this now folks, recruit and retain and develop top talent. So here we are laying off an experienced 21-year Department of Finance worker. Now we're hiring somebody from outside to come in to recruit top talent. I guess it's not here yet. They have to recruit it. It can't be any one of us because they wouldn't be recruiting it if it was any one of us. But let me tell you what a good job this top talent does. It does a really good job. Take, for example, the marvelous program called City Time. All right. Now, I'm a very conservative union leader, very fiscally responsible. I thought they shouldn't spend $64 million replacing the time clocks because there was nothing wrong with the time clocks. Well, it turned out that $64 million didn't begin to do it, and now we're already in the hock for 10 times as much, and every single city agency that ever implemented City Time has been calling us up to tell us how much they hate it, how much they're wasting time, how much the old process was smoother than the new process, how it was less error-ridden. In other words, we have now spent $750 million on something that doesn't work as good as what we had before. Was this noticed by any of the top talent the mayor is recruiting? It turns out they didn't notice it. But there was, as it turns out, some small problem with this otherwise just plain horrible program. And the small problem was, you won't believe this, they were stealing. Yeah, stealing. They were stealing. But the interesting thing is how they were stealing.
Where's the money?
Timesheets. They falsified the timesheets. Can you believe this one? The City Time Project falsified the timesheets, and the mayor didn't notice, and his top talent didn't notice. Now, it is true, the unions did notice. Local 375 of DC 37 has been very noisy about this for a very long time. DC 37 in general has been in the forefront of pointing out the absolute waste here and how the money could be much more wisely spent. All the other city unions jumped on and also went out there campaigning. 26, 27, there's been more than one rally on this stuff. OSA comes down on a regular basis. My first vice president, Tom Anderson, the guy's usually on top of this particular one. But the truth of the matter is, we did warn them. We did warn them there's a lot wrong with this, not to mention it wasn't even necessary. And so did, when you come right down to it, John Liu, the controller's office, he warned them. And then there was Juan Gonzalez. And I seldom say anything kind about the New York Daily News, but in this case they were entirely right. They got it exactly right. But how much credit do we have to give to the top talent, the ones who are being hired while they're laying off our folks at Christmas time? None. None at all. They didn't notice anything. Brothers and sisters, we have a very interesting year 2011 ahead of us. This particular mayor, as far as I can tell, stuck around for the third term so he could lower your salaries, reduce your pensions, short you on health benefits, and oh yeah, destroy the entire civil service system that's been around for 100 years before he came along. Is he going to succeed at any of this? Well, I'm not so sure he is, because, you see, we do have the right to fight. Now, if we didn't have the right to fight, he'd get the entire agenda through. And if we tried to fight alone, it might not work. But if we all fight together, brothers and sisters, there'll still be a New York City after Bloomberg, in spite of all his intentions to create Bloomberg, New York, rather than New York City, New York. Thank you.